Hello and welcome to another episode of The Truth Explained. I'm Hugo Pellegrino Lo, and today I'll be talking about a possible green power outage. As always, thank you very much for watching today's video, and please remember to subscribe to the channel and comment on the video. As always, this episode is being subtitled in English, Spanish, Portuguese, and including French, the better way I can. Imagine one day we have a power outage, but we do still have electricity. A backup type of emergency electricity that it's not coming from neither coal or petrol generators, but actually the emergency electricity that comes from solar, wind, and other sources of renewable electricity. Could it be possible? Let's find out. According to the newspaper USA Today, what happened in Texas in the beginning of this year? It's not just a cold front. Over a decade of misguided green energy policies and wreaking havoc in Texas and the lower Midwest right now, despite non-stop claims to the country, the immediate cause for the power outage in Texas on the beginning of this year was extreme cold and insufficient winterization of the state's energy system. But there's still no escaping the factor that for years, Texas regulators have favored the construction of heavily subsidized renewable energy sources, ever more reliable electricity generation. These policies have pushed the state away from nuclear and coal. And now, in that moment, millions in Texas and the Great Plains states are learning just how badly exposed they are when extremely weather hits. Renewable defenders retort that Texas wind source is reliable, unreliable, quote unquote. Translation: it can't be counted on when it's needed the most. The state has spent tens of billions of American dollars on wind turbines that don't work when millions of people desperately need electricity. As the cold weather has gotten worse, half of the state's wind generation has sat frozen and immobile. When wind provided 42% of the state's electricity on February 7, 2021, it fell to 8% on February 11, 2021. The Texas power outage was inevitably, unsurprisingly, the failure of wind has sparked a competing narrative that fossil fuel plants were the real cause of power outage. This claim can be quickly dispelled with a look at data from ERCOT, the state's electricity regulator. Even though the extreme cold had frozen cooling systems on coal plants and natural gas pipelines, the state's coal plants still upped their output by 47% in response to increasing demand. Natural gas plants across the state increased their output by an amazing 450%. Fossil fuel have done humans' work to make up for wind's reliability. Sadly, even the Herculean efforts, unfortunately, weren't enough. The loss of wind has been compounded by the loss of some natural gas and coal generation, and one nuclear reactor, which experimental a code-related safety issue and shut down. Things, fortunately, are improving for the Texan people, but rolling power outages were still impacting millions of Texans. Had the state invested more heavily in nuclear plants instead of pushing wind power, Texans would have ample, reliable, safe, emissions-free electricity powering their lives through the cold. Instead, over 20 people have died. The sad outcome was unfortunately inevitable. Renewable energy sources have taken off in popularity largely because of state mandates and federal subsidies. As they've become more popular, reliable energy like nuclear power and coal have felt the squeeze. The Texas energy grid, they don't like to share it with the rest of the United States of America. This is only the eye of the beholder of a reporter when things just don't happen the proper way. But let me go to California. According to the Los Angeles Times, in June 2020, the Arctic experienced a disturbing heat wave. One town in Siberia recorded a high of 100 degrees Fahrenheit or 37.8 degrees Celsius. Possibly the highest temperature ever recorded for the Arctic and more befitting the hottest place on Earth, Death Valley. Speaking of which, Death Valley may have just hit the highest recorded temperature anywhere in nearly a century, 130 degrees Fahrenheit or 54.4 degrees Celsius. What do record temperatures in these two extreme regions have to do with the rolling blackouts that California utilities are imposing that week amid a brutal heat dome over the western United States? A lot, actually. Though not in the way green power critics would have you believe in. Simply put, the climate is changing, and fossil fuels, unfortunately, are part of the reasons why. While so much of the United States remains stubbornly committed to fossil fuel powered sources of energy, California has been embracing renewable power sources with a goal of dumping fossil fuels completely in 25 years. The state's already 1/3 of the way there. That's remarkable achievement, but it's the nature of great undertakings, particularly those that require charting a brand new course to encounter missteps and unanticipated problems that can then serve as case studies for those who follow. You're welcome, America. The rolling blackouts that began Friday, August 18th, 2020, and made life miserable for millions of Californians appear to be one of the inevitable bumps along the way to sustainability. People who've dismissed humanity's role in accelerating climate change, including former President Donald J. Trump, have predictably seized on the blackouts as a cautionary tale. Since the Green New Dealers within the Democratic Party took control, they argue, the rest of the United States will be struck with power grids that can meet the demand. It's all pure hogwash. The shift to tapping the sun, wind, and waterways for power isn't the root cause of the state's rolling blackouts. It was the failure to adequately prepare for an entirely predictable scenario of a prolonged and widespread heat wave that would make power import less accessible to a grid that is in the middle of a difficult but essential transition to sustainability. In fact, this was actually predictable. Nearly 2 years ago, the California Independent System Operator, the entity that moves power around the state as needed and buys from plants outside the state to ensure an adequate supply, warned of this exact scenario occurring in 2019. On Monday, 21st of August 2020, officials at the Independent System Operator blamed public utility regulators. In return, suggested the Independent System Operator was at fault. California's Governor Gavin Newsom has launched an investigation to sort this out. But undoubtedly, there is enough blame to go around to share with policymakers and even power users who don't lift a finger to conserve energy at all. Climate change is everybody's problem to solve. The blackouts are a reason not for California to back away from its commitment to building a sustainable power grid, but to do a better job of making the transition. That means moving quickly to build backup capacity and storage facilities that can make power available when solar panels and wind turbines aren't generating any. It means expanding smart meters installation that help consumer and utilities better control electricity usage by shifting the demand for power to non-peak times, and it means looking ahead so the state won't face new shortages in 4 years or more years. When Diablo Canyon, California's last nuclear power plant will begin shutting down, with the right kind of planning and investment, we shouldn't have to worry that California won't be able to keep on the lights during the next extreme weather event, nor should anyone else. My personal opinion, I do think that yes, we can do this transition. And if we add solar power to traffic stoplights, have a solar power charger in our house, and even on hospital, actually big emergency electricity batteries to keep the electricity from going out, and the same for most of urban cities and condominiums with battery power generators that use solar electricity, and data communication centers with battery generator powered. I do believe we will never have to have a power outage ever again. We know it is gonna be expensive in the short term, but in the long term, it will be the best investment we ever made as a people. I don't even know if you actually realized, But I did all of this program using nothing more than a few electrical batteries powered electricity. As always, thank you very much for watching today's videos. If you have any doubt, you can always send me an email at hugo.loh@gmail.com. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel.